Well, let's jump in. Zoom Casa, the vision, how it came to be, who helped you build it.
Yeah, so we started in 2017-ish, kind of serendipitously. I decided I want to kind of get out of the apartment business, and I had my own construction company, and this is in Sacramento. So I said I would go flip houses, and I made offers on 27 short sales. This is back when they were still short sales. And each and every time I was outbid by a Facebook or Google engineer from San Francisco or Bay Area doing home flipping on the weekend after they went to, who's that guy that did seminars, Armando Monte something? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I know.
I don't think he's still around. I don't know, maybe he is. And every single time I was outbid, I'm like, my costs I know to a penny. I was buying stuff in bulk from China. I had containers. I'm like, there's no way some dude that works at Facebook can make money doing this. And I realized very quickly they weren't. And I got really pissed off because I spent the time actually underwriting these properties and writing offers. And it's like, you know, what the fuck? I wrote 27 offers, not one. And in Sacramento at the time, there was a part of the community called North Highlands, which was predominantly a place where African-American community where folks had bought homes for literally $15,000, $20,000 in the 80s. And those homes, and this is back in 17, were, if they were turnkey, $400,000. If they were sold to an investor, it was around $200,000. So the basic math was you pay $200, $210, you put in $100, $150, and you sell it for $400. And each of those homes, they were not properly maintained because these folks had bought them typically with FHA loans, but they didn't have the income or wherewithal to invest in them for the last 40 years. So investors would come and buy them, flip them, and make $50,000, $100,000 like that. And who's getting screwed? It's the homeowners. So, and I'll be totally frank with you, I was pissed off because I couldn't buy the house as an investor.
Yeah.
So I said, well, what if and I had this kind of an epiphany one week, and I said, what if I went to the seller and I said, well, I'll help you flip your own house. And what's the difficulty? Well, one, you got to figure out what to do. You got to figure out how to do it. You got to pay for it. So I said, what if I create a product where as a seller, you come to us and we will flip your house for you and you pay me when your home sells. And I'll have a profit margin in the work that we do. And then I don't have to actually own the asset. And you as the seller will keep most of the profit. And it seemed like a no-brainer. And then it was a question, well, how do you get to homeowners?
Yeah.
So I started cold calling real estate agents and taking them out to coffee and lunch and all that fun stuff. And the typical feedback was, I sell 5 homes a year. I'm in the gym every day by 10 a.m. This sounds really cool, but I'm good, bro. And no one gave a shit. And it blew my mind because I was talking about, as a real estate agent, how do you differentiate yourself to win more listings? Well, what if you go to these neighborhoods and tell homeowners, we'll help you sell your home for significantly more money, but zero. And around that time, unbeknownst to me, Compass, the brokerage, had rolled out what was called Compass Concierge.
Okay.
So we started getting phone calls from other brokerages. Are you a concierge service? And I had a dinky little website up. I don't think we had a phone number and on the website. And after like 5 calls, we're like, what is a concierge service? And we met some agents from Sotheby's and from Berkshire Hathaway. And they're like, yeah, Compass has this program. They front the cost of renovations. We need to compete with this. So as with most sales, it's easier to sell to fear, and they had to compete. So we went to some of the largest brokerages and said, listen, this is a competitive landscape. You need a solution to compete. We will build you a private labeled solution for this in-house, totally turnkey. And overnight we rolled out with Sotheby's, Berkshire Hathaway, Keller Williams, and a lot of other large brokerages. And between 2018 and March of 20, we went from starting in SoCal to being in like 30 states and doing a few $1 million a month of renovations. So it grew really rapidly. And then we took it through COVID, which was really challenging because we actually had contractors and folks in people's homes, which it's an odd conversation where it's like, yeah, you're in the middle of a $200,000 renovation, but we're going to stop now and we may not ever sell our house. Well, you need to pay us. Oh, I'm sorry, it's COVID, click. So it was a tough time. And again, listen to your client's feedback. A lot of homeowners that we work with say, listen, like, I love that you're renovating my house, but I want to unlock some of my equity so I can buy another house first and not have to live through this mess. And we say, okay, well, we'll create a bridge loan product. And after learning about consumer regulations and Reg Z and ATR analysis and all this other fun stuff, we actually created a compliant bridge loan product and rolled it out. And the lesson was that most of these clients that were trying to buy before they sold, part of the issue was they needed a down payment. But the bigger issue is they needed to fix their debt to income ratio to qualify for the new loan. So just by doing the cash out bridge loan, it didn't solve that problem.
Yeah.
And they had the money, but they couldn't qualify. So again, on the weekend thinking, how do we fix this problem? Well, what if instead of doing it as a bridge loan, we actually buy their house? So that was the genesis of what we call our forward program. And today, I think that that's the only solution in the marketplace that does a few things. Number one, it allows you as a seller to sell your home in 10 to 15 days for cash. Number two, it allows you to become a non-contingent buyer. Number three, you still get to work with your preferred agent and lender. And number four, and this is what makes it unique, is it helps you maximize your equity. So there's a lot of solutions in the marketplace. You can do 1, 2, or 3, but there's no solution where you can do all 1, 2, 3 and maximize your equity. So the way the forward program works is we get an appraisal of your house and an inspection. We buy your home, and it's a structured transaction. Structured just means there's 2 checks instead of 1. And we give you enough money up front to pay off your mortgage and cash out some of your equity. And now you don't have a mortgage anymore, so it's a lot easier to qualify for the new loan. You got some cash in your pocket. And then we'll go through, if the home needs renovations, renovate it for you. You have to prove everything, but we'll do it for you. And then we list it with your preferred agent. And when the home sells, we get paid back what we gave you up front plus the improvements. We pay closing costs. We take 5 to 10%, and the seller gets the difference. So back in napkin math is, as a consumer selling your house, you're keeping roughly 90 to 95% of the after repair value of your home, which is usually more than 100% of the as-is value. And you don't have to deal with showings, living through renovations, being a contingent buyer, etc. So that's where we've evolved today.
You did the Hormozy. You solved every problem. Well, I mean, as much as you can.
Still working on it. But we're trying.
I gave you too much credit, but you get where I was going.
We're trying to do that.
And how come that meant something to you? Like, why did you want the homeowners to benefit from the equity? Because I'll touch on it, but I'm curious.
Because I think that there's so many products in the marketplace that are extractive, where for a company to make a profit, it requires taking something from someone else. And it's a kind of an interesting perspective to build a business where you're trying to make the pie bigger, and in turning, you get a piece and everyone gets a bigger piece. And everyone's happy. And you look at everyone trying to disrupt the residential real estate space, it requires removing the agent from the transaction, it requires moving the mortgage broker from the transaction. Well, they're adding the most value. Why are you trying to take them out of the equation instead of empowering them to really solve their clients' problems and add more value?